What's the problem?
Okay. So that's what is on your screen there. Unveiling our ministerial reshuffle. Who is in and who is out? The president was asked by his own party foot soldiers to reshuffle. And then he gave an answer to us this week that is not going to happen. In fact, he says those who are asking him to reshuffle, who will come from his party, they want jobs.
Yeah.
And then for the NDC who is asking for it, they want to destabilize the government.
Yeah.
So we've heard the president. He has a prerogative.
We don't qualify by any of the tax that he has put out there.
Yes. So we have decided that if he won't reshuffle, we the people will reshuffle for him.
In whom the actual powers of this state reside.
Yeah.
We the people who gave him power temporarily. We have taken back our power to do our reshuffle. We are giving him indication that these are things maybe you should be looking at. Whichever criteria you are using, it is the assessment of the people that's the most important one. In fact, that's what's likely to break or not break the 8.
Yeah.
So it's not your assessment that's the most important at this point.
Yeah.
Presidential prerogatives have limits. Those limits are what we place on it.
Absolutely. And we do this fortified in our belief and our knowledge that there are many within the party, his own party, who agree that it should reshuffle.
There.
Former Deputy General Secretary spoke today and said, President, please listen to us, reshuffle. Yesterday, former Chief of Staff, one of the most prominent ones the MPP has had, Kojo Pieni, said, reshuffle.
Yeah.
Professor Bafo Ejimendria, who used to be at the former President's Foundation, top governance expert, reshuffle. He says, believes reshuffle. Imani's Franklin Kujo, reshuffle. We've heard from Kwabena Japan, who is running for president, reshuffle. I mean, so within his own party, there's almost a consensus that it should change. Yesterday, at the front of Joy FM in the evening after my show, a few foot soldiers, I don't know where they had gone, but they were around, and they saw me. They were all asking for reshuffle, And I said, but the
president said something. He said, for a very long time, this is one of the few situations you could find near consensus on the need for some form of reshuffle. And it appears the only person who's not part of this consensus, the president himself, and maybe the people who are asking to be reshuffled.
Themselves.
Yes, clearly.
And even for them.
Some of them really,
even for them,
truly within their hearts.
Deep down, know that it's time to let them go. But of course, we live in a country where, in a culture where resigning isn't a thing.
Yeah. So before Boris Johnson was asked to leave office, it started with 2, 6, 12, 46 of his ministers of various categories all resigned. We have not seen that kind of attitude among our political elites in this country. Even if he's supposed to resign, even if all the odds are against him, still he wants to be pushed out.
Yeah. So they won't go.
Yeah.
Although they know deep down that they have to go. One of them who knows deep down they have to go is finance minister. So we'll come to the list, and we are today going to simply go through the current list of ministers, and then we'll pronounce our verdict on who we believe should be reshuffled and who should not. You can join us, and I see many of you, almost 200 of you already on the Joy FM live stream.
Okay, the Joy News one is 153. Yes,
okay, so we are almost 400 in both. So just share with us what should happen. Tell us whether you disagree or agree with the list that we are going to go through. But we the people, must show the president that there is consensus on this matter, that even within his ranks, there's agreement that he needs to reshuffle. We are not saying yesterday the agreement is reshuffle doesn't guarantee that things will be better.
Yeah.
But what we are saying is that you need to give yourself, where we are with the crisis on the brink of economic collapse and catastrophe, give yourself all the chance you can find to save this economy.
And the options on the table.
Yes.
In fact, you can buy more time with merely changing, say, finance minister.
Absolutely.
You can actually engage creditors tomorrow.
Yes.
And say that, see, we have made some mistakes.
Yeah.
We have changed the people who are leading this engagement.
Yeah.
The same set of people have lost the credibility to engage the same creditors and tell them that we can do things differently.
Yeah.
And they would agree with you. If it is for that singular act, you need to make some change.
And also a fundamental rule of thumb. When you are in a deep crisis as what we are in, no options are off the table.
That's true.
You don't take any option off the table, like the president has done with the reshuffle. He's taken it off the table.
I think government should have learned from that particular going to the IMF experience.
Yeah.
That when you really need to put all your options on the table, do not start by waving some magic wand and insisting that this is impossible.
Yeah.
This will not happen.
Yeah.
We are a proud nation and all of the things that we justify it with.
Yeah.
At least you may not know how far you can go or you should go to dealing with the problem anyway.
So that is why we have to do this. For the president to take this off the table, to say his ministers, his verdict is that they've been outstanding. He doesn't see any reason now.
Yeah.
And that if he has to do it, he won't announce it. We don't say announce it before. I agree with him when he said, if you're going to do reshuffle, just do it. Don't announce it before. That's fine. But the evidence is when you say they've been outstanding publicly, then it follows that you don't see the need to change them.
And especially when people see a different reality on the ground.
Absolutely.
If all was rosy and if things were moving the direction that we all wanted, I am very sure people wouldn't have been demanded.
Yeah.
And nobody even cares if you are president for 20 years, if things are well. Because really, what's my point?
Absolutely.
The larger majority of the people in this country do not just engage in politics for the sake of it.
No.
They just want the very few things they used to do with their life to continue the same way.
Yeah.
If it is not happening, if partisan and governance structures interferes with their daily living to the point that inflation is showing it, exchange rate is showing it, their businesses are suffering, immediately now they begin to watch politics and ask, what is going wrong and what can be done to fix it?
And there's an old adage, as old as Adam, that if you keep doing the same things, don't expect a different result.
Yeah.
You cannot keep doing the same things and expect a different result. And I think it's true for personnel. You cannot keep this group of people for this long and keep them there and keep doing the same things and expect that somehow you would come out of this. And
especially for a government that touts itself as having the men.
Absolutely.
Having the men means you can change, you can reshuffle, you can bring in more people. At some point, you can bring in more players on board, fresher ideas.
Yeah.
That's the symptomatic element of having more men on the table. Not when you're unable to make changes.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, so what we are going to do, that is the bell.
Yeah.
We have the big bell here on the table. And what we are going to do is when a minister must be reshuffled and we pronounce that verdict that he has to go, you hear the bell.
Yeah.
The bell is the bell that will toll to signal his exit as the people believe they must go. If you have to stay, we'll stay. You say stay.
Yeah.
And that should be enough. I mean, those who are staying, we believe they have something that they can contribute. And by the evidence of their track record, maybe should be spared. But as you see very quickly, very, very few of them, very, very, very few of them, may pass muster.
Now, there's an important point you can also do in this conversation. Join us. Send us your list. Disagree and agree with us on what you think about the people we are suggesting must go and those we are insisting must stay. Just let it be known to us whether you think we are on the right track or you think that you have a massively different opinion on the people we insisting do no longer serve the interests of this country or have lost the quality, competence, and capability to run and stay in office as ministers in this republic.
Okay, so let's start. Okay, so let's start with the National Security Minister, Albert Kandapa. Raymond, I know you disagree with me. I think we are in agreement on this.
I think that, see,
because my verdict on him is, okay, how am I judging him? I am judging him fundamentally on safety and security. Okay. I know you're using human security, but I'm judging on safety and security.
Yeah.
Considering that all around us in the sub-region, we've had terrorist attacks in Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, Togo, Nigeria, all around us, right? Yeah. And we saw the threat. He did something by launching, you see something, say something. The fact that we're an island in that sense when it comes to no attacks on us, I would give him credit for it. It was ultimately, that is his ultimate singular responsibility, is to keep us safe. That is why I will say keep Albert Kandapa there. If he ain't broken, don't fix it. And if I'm safe and I haven't been attacked, and this country is, what it is without, Al-Shabaab, Al-Shabaab, what's the name of the group? Boko Haram,
and all the other
attacking as they've done across. Yeah. Then I will say, well, there's a basis to keep him. What do you say?
Largely, I would agree with you that we have not had any attacks. As to whether it is directly due to his effort, I'm not so sure. I actually think that where we have not done so much is human security. And it's so important. It's so critical to our development as a country. But I'm willing to let it go and say for now, Albert Kandapa can stay in office.
Okay.
I am also happy that when all the incidents have happened in times past, he has taken some small steps to try and fix it. The attack on the CTFM journalists. Also, the recent payment that was supposed to be made to the also West World people who actually were supposed to be given something. The steps to properly put in place a proper security architecture. Let it run properly. Make sure that they are accountable to the people, that we don't have rogues, you don't have partyful soldiers permeating and evading the service of our security. That's, I am willing to let go and say, he's on a third, but he should stay.
Yeah, I mean, we don't say he's perfect. Far from that. He has made mistakes and, everything is not rosy.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the fact that, for me, that threat hasn't materialized here, he may be doing something right. And so let's keep him. Let's go to the next one. Finance Minister.
I think that he is one of the people that in this republic, if we did a poll, it will be so unanimous.
Near 100%.
Yes.
But maybe only himself.
Even in cabinet,
yes.
If they did a vote, this man would have been asked to leave office.
In fact, we should dare the president to do it.
Yes.
He should put it to a vote in cabinet.
Yes. In fact, they should do a secret ballot.
Secret ballot.
A secret ballot in cabinet. Even that place, and I'm convinced.
He will lose.
Even in TV today, I'm so convinced that people will want him out.
Absolutely.
The finance minister has been, in fact, let me even put it this way. Even if you think he has done well, he's not been as catastrophic a failure as many believe he is supposed to be. Now, let's start from this point. I am insisting the man is supposed to lead the engagement with the IMF. A grouping he said we are proud people will never engage. If the IMF people read those comments before they engage him, see the posturing they will take to it.
Absolutely.
Secondly, this same man is supposed to talk to creditors and tell them that give us some leeway to put our house in order. All of these downgrades and all things, it's happening because people do not trust our economic program to get it back on our feet. And who's leading those economic programs? It's the man we are talking about here. He has no business. In fact, in a country where the leadership listens to the ordinary people, he would have left long time ago.
Yeah. So our verdict is that Honorable Ken Oforiatta, he has another name, Kuntum Kununku. Is that it?
Yes.
There's some name. There's some traditional name. But whatever it is, please, the verdict of the people on state of play is that, please, if the president doesn't reshuffle you, we believe you should resign. If you don't resign, you should be sacked. Whatever it is, he should be go.
You have no business in office.
Also, Oforiatta deserves three rings of the bell. Yes. So Oforiatta is gone. Trade and Industry Minister. Now, Alan Chemanting was appointed to supervise one of the flagship programs and others, trade, etc. Broadly, I mean, the planting. What's the name of the thing?
The one district,
one factory. First of all, in the first term, when they pushed this up, he was supposed to have delivered every district.
Yes.
One district, one factory is one district for one factory.
Yeah, not tell us.
They have 200 what? Just over 200.
So, yes.
The district. So in the first time, I was expecting to see it in all the districts.
Yeah.
Because one is to one. He failed there.
Yeah.
In the second term, he still hasn't delivered. We have 2.5 years to go. I don't see how he feels that. Now, but this is for me the biggest part of this. He's almost coasting and ghosting through the crisis. He is not taking any responsibility for it. He's not uttering anything about it. He is almost invisible in the midst of a crisis. You know the people in a classroom who hide at the back. And then
they answer no questions.
They are
not leading any charge. They are not controversial. They are not engaging in any fight. So they are almost present but absent.
And all the people will be asking the question, and the class teacher doesn't even notice them. It's only when the class is finished. Hey, were you there? So yeah, I was there. And they'll go and hide behind somebody, and then the class will end, and they will pick their bag, and then quick, they are gone. That is what Alan Chemanting is doing. And there was a time that I thought it was a great strategy because there's so much going wrong that if you talk too much,
you identify with
you might, and then you'll be. But I think where we are right now, we need leaders. Leaders don't hide in times of crisis.
They actually take charge.
They come, they remove, they roll up their sleeves. They tell you, here am I. There's crisis. I want to lead you tomorrow as your president. Now there's crisis. I am going to face the bullet. and then you lead from the front. You don't lead from the back.
There's a reason why I particularly want him gone. He's a member of that solid economic management team. To my appreciation and understanding, that team itself is a complete failure. So any member of that solid economic management team should be gone.
Alan Chemanting must go. I mean, by the way, the man has his mind on
running for
elections and becoming a president.
President,
I mean,
yes.
so you can argue that
at least in the next 2 years, should leave up.
It should go now.
Because now we need people who fix the problem and not be interested.
Not people who have divided attention.
Yes, that's true.
We can't have the people in the economic management team leading a very important portfolio like trade.
Among themselves who should be doing what.
And have divided attention between being a president and fixing our economy in crisis. He must go. Alan must go. Okay, Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwo. Again, the same reason why I said Alan Kandapa should stay is the same reason why I'll say he should stay. You know, defense, they have to protect the territorial integrity of this great republic. There was a time when the thought of coup was very fashionable in the last 1 year or so. Somebody's been tried for treason for it. Yeah. The word was flying all over. I mean, people were poking fun at the military for not doing anything. They were almost being goaded into doing something. The mere fact that he's managed, and he has to take credit for it, to place a lid, and because also of our history as a country. In times like this is when you see tensions in the military. We've seen that in the past, in the Rawlings time, in the 80s, in the 70s, right? And there were many who feared that the conditions that had in the past brought out, you know,
some of these upheavals.
Yes, from the military ranks may resurface. The fact that he's somehow kept the lid on that in the midst of an economic crisis, and I like something about him. Unlike Alan Chemanting, he has decided to go and face the public and try and put up a certain brave face on the situation. He was on my show.
Yes, I remember that.
And he was the one who was making the point about the potential for what is happening to destabilize the economy, to destabilize the country, and he's very worried about that. There was no obligation because he's defense minister.
That's true.
I mean,
it doesn't sit in the
to be talking about the economy and why. But he felt, look, I have thousands of men in uniform. I can't talk to all of them. But if I get in front of the cameras, chances are I can reach many more of them. And he was reassuring, for me, we are not saying he's perfect.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's kept the territorial integrity of this country intact in a time of this crisis when almost everybody else around this, great country of ours may be going through a turmoil, instability, I would say Dominic Nitiwo should stay.
And there's not been any external aggression.
No.
Frankly, I agree with you. No extraordinary work done, but he's able to keep the gates closed.
Absolutely.
And that's important, so he should stay.
So he stays for me. Next one is Interior Minister.
The Interior is a bit tricky for me. If I judge him by the conduct of the police alone, I will not be very excited by the very things that the police has done with all the incidents across the country.
But that's an interesting point because I didn't think about that. I mean, initially I was categorical he should go, but now I'm not sure anymore.
Yeah, if I judge him by the work of the police, I really think that there's been some improvements in the work of the police. Yeah. I also think that the police have made some mistakes. So if you ask me, I do not really have a very huge reason
to let him go.
What he should be sacked.
I agree with you because
he's not done anything so grievous that it warrants removing him from office anyway.
And the thing you said that struck me was I was going to say Dampari has a lot to do with this current good vibe that we are seeing around the police, right? But somebody appointed him.
And somebody is actually decided not to interfere with the work.
Interfere with his work.
Yeah.
And give him a free hand. Because the Interior Minister is Dampari's ultimate boss.
That's true.
I mean, the president is for everybody. Yeah. But Interior Minister will have a big say. And he's allowed him to do his work, right?
That's true.
So he takes part of that credit. And for that reason, he hasn't really left us in awe of any great performance. But I agree with you. Ambrose Derry, should stay. Let's go to the next one. Foreign Affairs, Regional Integration, Shirley Ayoko Botwe. Shirley Ayoko Botwe for me, the verdict is she must go. It's time for her to go.
Let me be frank with you. I never saw her as a foreign minister like you have seen with other people.
I still don't see her as a foreign minister.
I never frankly did. I mean, I think that we've had some very extraordinary people in that position as foreign minister. And she was a bit of a detraction from the standards that we are putting in that particular office.
Yeah.
It's not surprising to me, but I actually think she's not done any work. She's not done any extraordinary work. She's not conducted foreign policy in a way that has put it on the map or done any extraordinary thing for us to be very excited about her. But to give this government a new face, you need somebody else in that office.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, Shirley...
Somebody whose mere presence can let people agree to engage us on a renewed economic front.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
The economic diplomacy, which is at the core of our diplomatic practice, should come to the fore merely because we have seen a new minister. Somebody with authority, somebody with history, somebody like the Nana Akufo-Addo when he was there.
Yeah.
His kind should be put there in the last 2 years.
Shirley Ayoko-Botwe must go. Attorney General and Minister for Justice Godfrey Dami. This is a man who was a deputy and ascended to become the substantive. Under his watch, we have seen attempts at reforms, right? Yeah. So I know there's a bill that he's drafted. One of the biggest problems with legal education. I know you are trained to be a lawyer. That has been drafted, trying to change a few things. I know he's obstinate in his ways sometimes.
Yeah.
But he's attempting to do some changes. The question is whether the changes are what we need. His primary job is to be the chief legal advisor
to government.
To government. Have there been any major issues that warrant us to say, big scandals that the Attorney General probably dropped the ball on and slept on the job? I struggle to see one. I don't know what you make of.
I agree with you.
Make of this.
I actually think that right from the beginning, if you understood his work fully, I think he's done the job predominantly as Minister for Justice and defended government properly.
Yeah.
Largely.
There
are a few times that, with arbitration and all of that, that he's dropped the ball.
He's won so much. Because really, you appear to be a lawyer. It's about how many cases you have in the bag.
And how you're protecting our public purse through the courts and all the other.
He's won so much that there are complaints even within his own party. Kandapa was complaining.
That is true.
That, if you rule so much in our favor, there's a sense
it might be problematic for the justice that we are all looking for.
Actual admission that our Attorney General is doing a great job.
I am particularly more interested in the areas that are not sexy and yet he's pursuing them.
Yeah.
Non-custodial centers.
True.
Things like legal reform.
Yeah.
And recently, the conversation about a fund for law reform in the country.
Yeah.
I've always been thinking that regardless of a law being in there, that there's no proper law reform commission in Ghana. Yeah. So if you put those things together, I have no objection to his continuous stay in office.
Absolutely, and I agree. Godfrey Dami, stay. So he will stay. So far, we've done Godfrey stays, Albert Kandapa stays, Dominic Nitiwo, and Ambrose Derry stay.
Yeah.
Local government decentralization rural development, Dan Botwe, member of parliament. Dan Botwe stays for me. He was given a job. He's the only minister coming from the first term who
completed his job.
Yeah. I mean, objectively, fully
handed over.
Fully.
Creation of regions.
He delivered. Yeah. I mean, and if you look at the constitutional threshold for a referendum victory, it's a pretty high bar.
That's true. He delivered across the board.
He delivered.
And of course, perhaps because we had near consensus on the creation of these regions. But, I mean, we have had people who have also been in similar offices. At the time that he was doing that job, it was somebody else's job to make sure that DCs are elected.
Yes.
It didn't happen.
Yes.
So now he's been moved to that particular role. I'm hoping that by the time he leaves office, he would have gotten that thing done. But to me, he stays in and functions in that particular department.
He stays too.
Yeah.
Dan Botwe stays. Parliamentary affairs, or say Chairman Sabos. Now, Chairman Sabos is a friend.
He's a friend.
But I would say he should go.
Oh, I actually think that he's on his way out.
No,
and that he believes deep within has to go.
I say why?
I think that the leadership has been very poor on the majority side. Let's not dismiss that.
I agree.
As times that he was leading government business alone, not just alone, but being the very face of the majority. In the beginning of this year, last year, even December, November, the leadership of the majority have been wobbly. putting people together, getting them to agree on basic things, getting them to tell the same lie, even with the election of the speaker. So right from the beginning, even though you might say that he did his best and other things could happen, I think at some point in time, he himself would have evaluated and done some introspection and said, nah, if for nothing at all, I'm not qualified to still maintain the position. I can be in parliament, but still maintain the position, not only as majority leader, but also that Minister of Parliamentary Affairs. Certainly, if you're going to scrap that ministry, he should leave.
I agree with you. So let's count his defeats in parliament under this hung parliament. He lost a speaker. For the very first time, he nearly lost a substantive ministers who were actually...
In fact, they voted in parliament. For some reason, some of the NDC members decided to vote for the woman.
Nearly.
Something they do with consensus.
And for the very first time in more than 30 years, a budget was rejected.
Whether we like it or not. It was serious.
It happened. E-levy to 3 months plus. 3 months plus for him to now eventually maneuver.
It took everybody in government, every single skill the government had to get it done.
If he had passed that in 3 months before, we possibly wouldn't have gone to the IMF.
Possibly. We could have raised enough money, as the government is telling us.
And also, that whole 3 months gave investors the fear that
we were unstable in our quest for what we're supposed to do.
Exactly, and it triggered a lot of the ratings things that we saw, the downgrades that we saw, right?
Yeah.
So really, and then another thing that I believe that the reason, he himself recently did a speech in Kumasi and articulated a view that some of the ministries, you don't see their value. You remember he said that?
Yes. It's very recent. One of the ministries I don't see the value is this parliamentary affairs. He didn't mention it, but
absolutely.
With all due respect.
With all due respect, we don't need another ministry of parliamentary affairs. When you have a parliamentary service, okay? So he can sit in cabinet because he's the leader of government business, right? But it can't be a minister. Right? And I think even Chairman Sabungso himself will agree with based on his own public pronouncement about ministries whose value is...
And they need to trim down to relevant ministries.
Etc. So Chairman Sabungso must go. Communications digitalization, Esla Wusokefo must go.
I agree with you perfectly. If you consider this SIM card registration, and there's something with some of these ministers, and she's beginning the list of the people. Some of them just have speaking problems. For some reason, they might be experienced in politics, but their communication is extremely poor. And by communication, I'm not saying your ability to speak English and use the big words. No. It's the intelligence to say what is right and say it properly and not get people needlessly infuriated and not cause any commotion for government. For that reason and others, and I'm saying SIM card is one of the main reasons why the minister should go.
Yeah, I mean, so I agree with you. I think this whole SIM card thing has been a mess. The mere fact that she's had to postpone it how many times? I mean,
this is almost like the third time.
Alone is admission that something isn't right. And the thing about ministers is that your ability to make proper projections is key. So you don't postpone and only backtrack because, so that for me is the key. And the fact that they've made the life of people pretty tough. Right?
For people suffering for no reason. People have to leave their jobs in these economic times to just go and queue for no reason. For no fault of theirs. In fact, we did registration not long ago. This is registration. That's what people don't get. We are registering again. I mean, clearly. And if you could deploy an app.
Why wait all this long? So here's the thing that beats me. So she had a first deadline. So if she was really going to stick by that first deadline, we wouldn't have had the app. So the deadline would have come, people would have the opportunity of sitting in their homes and doing it. But she was insisting on the fact that we're going to allow that to happen, right? Now the app is going to come post the third deadline, which for me shows slight challenge with managing the affairs of that ministry properly. And
a ministry that has digitalization as part of its name. For every good reason, they couldn't do much of the work.
Digitalization that a vice president appears to be doing a far better job at.
Yes, I think that ministry is already working with the vice president. So even if she's not there, we can work it out.
Absolutely. Anyway. So Esla must go. Oh, this is your favorite one. Food and Agriculture Minister.
Another minister with a problem with communication, largely. And listen, from the beginning, we all saw the many successes. It appeared the planting for food and jobs was actually choking until it got beset with just fertilizer problems and we started eroding the successes in the area. Let's not dismiss the fact that food prices are also on the uptake heavily. The minister is perhaps the only person who knows where we buy cheap foods in this country. And that foods are getting rotten, and he says they are on the streets and they're being sold at very low prices. I actually think that he's run out of ideas, and that maybe he also wants to be president, so he should just step aside and go and do that.
I mean, fundamentally that.
Yes, he should
fundamentally
just step aside
that.
and go and do that.
I insist you cannot be in a crisis and have people with divided attention. And so for that reason, Food and Agriculture Minister, Dr. Wusu Efri-Akoto, must go. Now, the Energy Minister, Dr. Matupoku Prempeh. Let me say something about Matupoku Prempeh. When he was the Education Minister, myself, you, we did analysis, and we were not charitable to him. In fact, we believe that his deputy, in fact, by the way, if you're watching us on the Joy News live stream, you want to move to the Joy 99.7 live stream, okay? Because they'll probably be taking Pulse at 3, so that's why it's gone off. So you can come and let's wrap this up. Now, we were a bit uncharitable, right? And we thought his deputy, was probably the one doing a real job. But of course, and I am willing to say that I was wrong. And when we come to the Education Minister, I will tell you why. Because on the evidence of what he's done at the Energy Ministry, it's almost close to a miracle. I always say, I don't know if you've listened to me say this before in private conversations, that each time this country faces an economic crisis like we have, the first symptom is doomsday.
That's true.
One of the main symptoms you see
our inability to raise money to buy
2014, remember 2013, 2014, when we have the longest doomsday ever, is because we have an economic, we went to the IMF. Go to Kufuor had his own problem, right? Mills had his own doomsday problem. Jerry Rawlings had his own doomsday problem. We are in the deepest economic crisis we faced since the 80s, right?
That's true.
And somehow, the lights are still on.
Yeah. We've not had that kind of power strategy difficulty. Not those things fuel, right? We could not raise money for gas. We could not raise money for all of the other things. But if it's a money problem, I'm more likely to think that it's the finance ministry that's able to raise the money. No, finance ministry is that the man who signs on the check and says go. I mean, I'm willing to extend him that particular long group. I think so far as he's made sure that the sector is not turbulent, that the sector is not ground to a halt, that we are not having the energy problems we've had in time. You think if the hard power, who would they blame? Would they blame the finance minister? No, in all fairness, they will not do so. Yeah, don't blame Matupoku Prempeh. That's true. So if we've kept the lights on, I agree with you. I think, look, I don't know how to say this, and in my prayer moments, when I'm at home and I have electricity, in the midst of all this, I marvel because we know that we are in a dire economic state. It's not happened before. Yeah. That this economic, we don't have money. Yeah, that's true. Our foreign reserves are depleting. We're going for, IMF for, what's the name of how they call it? Balance of payment support. And yet, the lights are on. Look, Matthew Opoku Prempeh, perhaps in the whole cabinet, is possibly the guy who needs to be applauded the most. Possibly. Yeah. Because, the thing that brings governments down the most in this government is doomsday. Look, you know what is happening? All the economic difficulties that we are facing, people, it comes to a head, but you let doomsday set in. Yeah, it's traumatizing, especially history of it. Doomsday set in right now, and you see that the atmosphere will change completely, right? People will start hitting the street with more frequency than now. And for him, we have 2.5 years to go. But on the evidence of now, what he has done so far, and the times that he's met it, look, my only difficulty sometimes is the way he speaks. And there's a list of them. But even that, there's a list of them. I think if you paid attention to him as an energy minister, he's a bit more quiet actually. As if somebody told him that, my friend, this is a different sector. You need to keep quiet and do the job rather. Yeah. I get the point. Yeah. He's been a bit more, and it's good that he's learned the lesson. Yeah. That you just don't have to say anything at all. Look. The day I realized that when an opposition former power minister on Newsnight, I'm talking about Kwabena Donkor, who himself resigned because of doomsday. That's true. He applauded him. Yeah. And praised him, complimented him highly. That's true. That's the day I realized that, Matupoku Prempeh is the real deal. Okay. And so let's quickly run through the rest. Because we have to go through. Education minister. Look, and let's say that nicely. I like the man. He's very disappointing to me. And it is true. We sat here and said, replace Matupoku Prempeh with this minister. Yeah. And that he sounds visionary. He sounds like the right guy to drive our education agenda. Half of the time, he spent quality time complaining and doing nothing. Goodness. In fact, it's shocking. it's almost like this, when people are sitting on the bench, you think they are wonderful players because they exhibited some skills. But when they get into the real seat, and the crisis in the education sector brings it home nicely. It is one of the most disappointing of the periods I've seen in my life.
Yeah.
That a man I have vouched for 100%.
Yeah.
Well,
need I say more? I won't. My biggest disappointment is Dr. Yao Osei Educhum. So Dr. Yao Osei Educhum
must go.
I'm going to give him a second ring. Health Minister.
He should follow suit. This one, it doesn't require discussion. Yeah. 3.
The only person who got 3 rings is
the finance minister. He's in the same league.
He's at the same level as the finance minister, the health minister. Lands and natural resources minister. Look,
frankly, I am willing to say that he should stay.
He should stay. Look, you know why? When the lands matter went,
the Achimota,
I was thinking, this matter, please leave it for the lands commission guys to handle because it's technical matter. It's land. You just came. This one predates you. The fact that he took on the matter. He spoke almost everywhere. He was not afraid. He was on your show many times.
That's true.
Was on my show, issuing statement, providing details and details after detail, and setting up this committee.
Frankly, I was equally impressed.
I was absolutely impressed.
My biggest problem with him has been how Galamsey continues to be managed.
Okay.
That's really my biggest problem.
That's
but
fair.
I do not think that it takes off all the things he has done in the area of other things that we have seen happen in that department.
Yeah.
I am willing to extend him more stay in that particular role. Yeah.
I mean, he's very impressive young man, and I think Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abu Jinapo, real deal, he should stay. Roads and highways. I
think he's been a monumental failure. I will not even waste my time on how to justify beyond him moving and going away.
Yeah, He should go. Yeah. I mean, look, please, Sino Hydro. It's supposed to deliver roads. It's not happening. The roads are not.
It's pretty obvious.
Every year is a year of roads.
For the first time in this country, we've launched year on road for 3 or 4
So they should rebrand it.
Yes, find a new term for it.
They should call it years of road.
Yes, not a decade. A time of roads.
So please, Kwesi Amakwata must go. Western Housing Minister, Francis Asenso Boache.
If you ask me, I do not think he has delivered to the expectation.
No, he hasn't.
I actually expect that for all the complaints he has put in about not getting money to do flooding, is one of the key things I look out for in the Western Housing Minister.
Yeah.
To me, he has not resolved the flooding problem.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like there's a solution on the table as we speak.
No.
I frankly think if he thinks he's not getting the money, he should resign.
So he's the only person now, instead of saying he should be fired, we're saying he should resign.
That's true.
And why? Let people know why we're saying because people don't think that we are being favoring him. We broke that story about exclusive document from cabinet that we secured. He did it on the morning show. I did it on Newsnight. He first of all identified the problem.
That's true.
He was appointed. He identified that flood is going to be worse in 2020 and put a budget and a plan to fix it. Goes to cabinet and says, give me this amount of money
so that I can do this.
I can fix the problem. The finance ministry didn't mind him. He's written several letters. So we struggle. So that's why we are saying that if we are not being given the tools to succeed, then please do the honorable
thing. For your integrity, just resign.
And resign. So, I mean, for him, we are not saying being sacked or stay, resign. Let's do transport. We've done transport.
No, we've not done transport.
Kweko Ofori is Esiama.
Listen, I think he should go.
Okay, I think
the biggest contribution to our current inflation is transport. There's not been any direct intervention to reduce the burden on the people in that area.
I agree.
We have been consistently complaining about it. If you reduce the burden there, it will affect the other inflationary figures you are dealing with.
I agree.
He's been there.
I agree.
He has not reduced accidents on our roads.
I agree.
In fact, frankly, he should go.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, Kweko Ofori, Esiama, transport, go. Fisheries and agriculture development, go.
Please go. Follow the transport minister. Yes.
2 must go. You know what? Yesterday in the inflation basket, herrings. Smoke Amani.
After doing closing and opening,
yes, it's the biggest contributor.
Can you believe that?
No, so she should go. And that's Mavis Hawa Kumsing. Go. Railway development must stay. John Peter Mewu must stay for me.
Yeah, I mean he's not that extraordinary well. No. We have not seen all the railways being done.
Yeah,
but at least there's Taman Pakadan. There's also the recent one that Accra Tema.
Yeah,
one that we'll be fighting over. Yeah. Perhaps we can extend him some leeway.
He should stay. I mean, he's done it quietly. Oh my goodness. Sanitation, Water Resources Minister, Cecilia Abenadapa. She's there to do one thing.
Yeah.
Turn Greater Accra into the cleanest city in
in Africa. First term promise.
That it was failed. They failed to deliver. Second term, Accra is possibly the filthiest.
I mean, I think that particular vision was itself Herculean.
Yeah.
But she has not shown any promise of delivering on that.
Absolutely.
So she must go.
Say, Cecilia Kandapa, Vamoose, tourism, arts, and culture.
To all intents and purposes, I actually think that the exiting French ambassador had monumentally and clearly dictated to me and shown evidence that she's more interested in promoting tourism than the current minister.
Okay.
I am so convinced that man should not be in the office
I agree. Awal Mohammed, tourism, arts, and culture must go. Gender, children, social protection.
The president acted before we are going to tell him what to do.
I think he knew that it was going to come.
Yes.
Adwasafo is gone. There's a new one there, hasn't been vetted.
Yeah, so clearly we cannot say much.
Chieftaincy religion. This is one of those ones that I can't understand.
Yeah, the man is unwell.
The man is unwell. The president just simply has to use that initial statement and say, because of his ill health, he's, and appoint somebody.
We're not saying he's incompetent.
No.
We have no qualification to judge him on because we don't have the evidence suggesting. But he is unwell.
He's unwell.
We cannot continuously leave the public office open for a man who's not functioning in the office.
So we say he should be sacked.
Yes.
But we are saying, Mr. President, just
replace him.
Replace him.
Yeah.
We understand.
To let the government function because we are losing out of that.
By the way, chieftaincy and release, we'll be fine. Now, Dr. Kweku Efriye, MP, Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, please.
He should go.
Please, must go.
Very clearly.
Even in fact, he's the only minister, I don't even remember. I don't know his name.
Yeah, he's not that much, to be fair. Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
Dr. Kweku Efriye. No, Efriye. This Kweku.
No. This Kweku Efriye from the Western region, yes.
Must go. Employment and labor relations, Ignatius Bafwe. What do you think? That's an interesting.
There's turbulence on the employment.
It's giving the workers a collapse.
But yeah, I mean that's a good point.
That's a very big one.
But actually, he's one of the people that ministry, he and his deputy.
Yeah.
I think that for a larger chunk of the time, they are better at telling and getting workers to calm down and deal with the problems. If his entire role, which is always the case, is to make sure that the labor front. And listen, these are turbulent times.
Yeah.
Labor should be up in arms consistently.
For the period,
yes, he's calm. And see, if you check from the last term, he seemed to have operated for. In fact, the president said some time ago that in this tenure, people have not gone on strike like the way they do in times past. If you take that alone, I actually think he should stay.
I agree with you.
That just has not been out there. But he seems to be getting the work done.
I agree with you.
Anyway.
I agree with you. So, Ignatius Bafwe will stay. Information Minister. Kojo Opon Nkrumah. And let me declare my conflict. I worked with Kojo Opon Nkrumah for years. Here, I hosted a morning show with him. I produced him for Sunday edition. He produced me as well. So he's my friend. Everybody knows that because we were colleagues here before I became minister.
Your verdict?
Okay, so my verdict on having declared my conflict.
Yes.
Is that it's information ministry.
Yeah.
It's the government's chief mouthpiece.
That's true.
The times are extremely hard.
That's true.
Right? Has he done enough in the face of the crisis? I wouldn't say I am satisfied.
Yes.
With what he's done. Would you? Since I've declared my verdict, I can't be part of the verdict.
If you ask me.
Since I declared my the law.
Yes.
What does the law say? Once you declare
conflict of interest.
Once you declare your conflict, what do you do?
You stay away.
Exactly. So
in this particular case, let me be clear on this one. If I'm judging purely on the work the man's supposed to do, and I've done this before the tenure of the first term ended, there was vacuum.
Yeah.
I actually feel that one of the biggest problems this government still faces today is in the area of information delivery and communication.
Okay.
Whilst he as an individual is a fine gentleman, the job of leading government communication has been Herculean, has been very difficult, and has not been delivered to the appreciation of the people. As we speak today, we have almost like a quadruple crisis on our hands. Very little being said. Very little assurance coming from the relevant one. I'm not saying you should be speaking every day. By now, you should have been coordinating the various relevant ministries, giving us the relevant information across the country, helping us understand what is really happening and how to, if you have to, prepare for it, we can do it. I am extremely worried about how we are running our... So, to that extent, I would have said, okay, to be fair, a new face, and I don't know who can replace it, but a new face who can do the job and make sure that you drive a certain communication that gives hope to the people in these times would be a better person in that position.
So your verdict is?
He must go.
Okay. Youth and sports, Mustafa Yusuf, MP, must stay for me. Me, I bring it down to the World Cup.
That will qualify. It's a monumental thing. I mean,
yes. If he qualified as the World Cup.
But recently, inability to go through that particular Commonwealth Games certification.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Has he sacked anybody? Has he sacked anybody?
No, not yet.
See, ministers are either supposed to act or get the things done.
Yeah.
We should see.
But that. Of course, I mean, we haven't seen the end of that yet.
Yeah.
But that pales in comparison to our qualification to the World Cup.
Oh, no, I agree with you.
Yeah.
In fact, it is simply
monumental achievement. So for me, Mustafa Yusuf, MP, please keep him there. Public enterprise, Joseph Kujo, yeah, I mean, he tried a bit.
No, I think he should go.
Okay.
Listen, for the period he's been minister, and he doesn't sound like someone who can reform the sector.
Okay.
He sounds like someone who believes in the still school. People like that are not the kinds that can make the
in the times like this.
Enterprise are important.
Works and housing. First of all, I don't like this concept of a minister of state. I don't like it.
Yeah, I actually agree.
Frida Prempe at the ministry where the substantive minister himself is being starved of.
It doesn't have funds. How would the minister of state do it?
So
please remove her so that we reduce the numbers of people.
So that's our verdict. Let's see what you are saying. We're going to go in the next 2 minutes, but a lot of you have joined us. Before we go, please hold on because, let's hold on. Let's read a few of this. Kudiabo, gracious. I missed this program so much. Thanks be to God I'm here today. What's happening? Well, this is what has happened. This is Bodai Mustafa. What's keeping the program waiting? We apologize for that. Slight technical challenges. Okay, Kudiabo came back and says, Kenofriata is the only problem for Ghana. He needs to go. The health minister also needs to go. Do you agree with us? Famous Smith, I really miss this program. He says, Agric Minister must go. Philip Amoah, sorry. You agreed with us on that. Solomon says, President Akufo-Addo is our biggest problem as a country. But for him, you can't do anything about him until you do 2024.
If we were a minister,
yeah, maybe.
I'm telling you.
Okay.
But now, we don't have
Famous Smith brought a long list. For me personally, I think the following minister should be sacked, not reshuffled.
Okay.
Finance Minister, we agree with you. Agric Minister, we agree with you. Roads Minister, we agreed with you. Communications Minister, we agreed with you. Energy Minister, reshuffled. That we disagree.
Okay, yes.
On Energy Minister, we disagree on that. Okay, we've told you our reason. I don't know what your reason is. Amao Liekpe Road, we agree. Transport, railway, we disagreed. Aviation, that's transport, right? It's part of the transport.
Yes.
So yeah, that we agreed. Bisma Fusu, we are not serious at all as a country where everything is possible. How come a president will tell us in the face that when you ask for reshuffle, then you are looking for a job? Maoli, Agric, Finance, Energy, Education Minister should go. The only one we disagree with you about is energy. Maoli, Ekpe, Sanitation Minister, we agree should go. Abukari Hassan Evans, we those grassroots NDC members agree with the president not to reshuffle the cabinet minister. And I see the point. There's a political, capital.
Them fail together.
And a political capital
we are putting Ghana first.
Yes.
To be fair.
Yes. Okay. So Gideon has a long list: finance, interior, agric, education, health, housing, trade, employment, parliamentary affairs. Okay, there are a few of them. Majority of that we agree with.
Yeah.
Abukari Hassan Evans, I disagree with you about Attorney General. Okay, that's fine. Edu Jemfi, the president believes he is the best coach and has failed to listen to both the technocrats and the ordinary people. And then we have Solomon says Dambutu should go for failing to ensure that the people of SAL have representation in parliament. That is not his job.
That's true.
He created
that's
the
clearly
region.
The electoral commission
so
that failed to get the people
the electoral
voted.
commission. This is Gideon, gave Les Gideon Joe, Foreign Affairs, Sanitation, Attorney General, Communications, Roads. Okay. Nenang, keep up the good work. Raymond Ebiwo, we should be asking Akufo-Addo himself to step down. I mean, look, the comments are, look, plenty comments, and we're grateful.
Yeah. So we actually asked 10 out of the 30 on the list to stay.
10 out, okay.
Yes.
So only 10?
Yes.
Only
towards
10.
1/3 of the ministers currently in office should be staying. You heard our comments on all of them.
Yeah.
In fact, apart from, let's say, Dan Butcher, we rarely hardly give anybody an A.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen, let's continue the conversation. The live stream is still there. Go and chant around it. Debate as you may like.
We are suggesting it to the president.
Yes, we are sending a petition.
We are giving you power. Act on our behalf. Do it right.
Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your day.